Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hi, Salim wa bikum, my dear brothers and sisters. Today, I'll be covering Mali in the Sahel. And what is significant here is the ongoing saga, as you heard me talk the other day about Ghana. We have some of the same very underlying currents that's in Mali. Ghana is a different animal all in itself, as you saw last week. But irrespective of that, each of the Sahelian states have its own particularities about what it's doing against the Fulani. But each one also has some things that's germane only to that particular state. And Mali's no different. What makes Mali such an interesting is because of all of the scholarship, all of the, not empires, the emirates and the sultanates that developed in this region. And what makes Mali such a vital part of the African history and landscape. And so we should talk about that. And I want to bring these points up because I want the education of our people well-rounded, not solely based upon BBC and CNN and so forth and so on, even though sometimes BBC Arabic or BBC Hausa, they give pretty good programs, but still it's still controlled by Tubal. And then you're not going to get the good story. And I also want to make you understand so that way you can quell some of the stuff that's going on. You have to look at something again, brothers and sisters. You see the current thing. You've been watching me for these months now. You see the current. Why are the Fulani being attacked and killed? And then this answer here, I've been giving you that, but you're not finding this answer basically in the media. And then why is it that the Tuba press, the UN, the Western powers only talk about that the Fulani herdsmen, Fulani, whomever it is, are jihadists or criminals or terrorists and whatnot. So I want to bring you to a point to show you why your brothers are erupting in the Sahel region. And Mali is no different, brothers and sisters, because I have reports here that in essence will blow you away. And it shows you the hypocrisy of the UN in itself. The former president of the Gambia, we're not here talking about what he did good or what he did bad, but I'm only going to mention something he said about the UN. He thought he said it was the white boy. It was the white boys club. That's what he said. The former president, years back, about 5 years ago, I think, about around there, he said that basically the UN is the white boys club, the Tubox club. And because of its actions. And this is no different. When black faces do things, they bring them to the court. But when the white faces do things, they don't do that. See, and they put programs talking about, well, one of my favorites is like for African Americans about the I forgot what they called it in 2017. It was supposed to promote the fairness and whatnot of African Americans and stopping the killing and disenfranchisement. What did it do? After that report was generated, the United States went on a killing spree of African Americans that were gruesome, invading African Americans' home, killing innocent people, claiming that these people were criminals when in fact they weren't, going to the wrong address, killing them, going in the streets, stopping black males, putting their foot on their neck, suffocating them. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. A motorist, maybe he was drunk. Now the police had an excuse. The Tubab, he told him to look, this is what we're going to do to you. He, out of fear, because he know he's going to be shot anyway, so he tried to run, and they killed him and shoot him in the back. We have all these incidents like this. The UN has no teeth at all. They talk good. Only when it's black faces that perpetrate the crime, then they go active by putting them into the ICC, the International Criminal Court. And they even have a black face in there, and she is gun-ho when it comes down to going after black men. She's gun-ho going after black faces, black men in particular. If it's the Israeli face, no. If it's the Russian face, no. If it's the French face, no. See, no, she doesn't go after them, but she only shows her anger and her zeal. But when you mention Yahya or you mention Ahmed, and he's Afro-Arab, Afro-Tuareg, he's a black man, then you see the motivation. This is the UN we have today. And so I'm going to get indulged in that. Let me give you my felicitations. Salamu alaikum rahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Leo ikwani huwati fi din. Salamu ala mani teba huda leo ikwani huwati fi Afrika, Europa, America, Caribbean, wa kuli makan. And on jaraama, my full-bay community, and my brothers and sisters who are everywhere that may view this, and inshallah ta'ala. There's one administrative note I'd like to add. I get reports and so forth and so on. And, I would really appreciate it, brothers and sisters, those who are interested and those who've already subscribed, that you subscribe to my station. And as you know, I will never ask for any money. I cannot do that for my brothers and sisters. I'm an elder now. The payment I get basically from you is that you review and then analyze my reports to help you so you don't make the mistakes I made when I was 20 or 30 years old or 40 years old. See, so I'm giving you things, and especially considering Africa and whatnot. So I give you this information to propel you, to help you. So your children, you teach them and you get them to understand. Because one of the things that's killing the African continent is lack of education. And we only rely on the Tubab and Tubab's point of view. And we're very ignorant. Even Africans who are on the continent are relatively ignorant about, again, locations past their feet they don't know much about. And this is a detriment to us. And we don't care about our brothers, what's happening in the East. The brother who's in Kenya, he doesn't care what happened to the brother in Ghana. See? And this is the apathy we have, and we have been exploited because of that. So I would greatly appreciate if those who like this, my programming and whatnot, please subscribe. Never ask you not for one penny. I'm not willing to do that. I cannot do such a thing. But subscribe to me. That shows that you appreciate your elder and his programs, and I greatly appreciate that. Okay, let's get at it, brothers and sisters. I have to bring up something here, and I have to talk about the issue that's very disturbing. Let me see here. This is it. No, okay. You know what? I put this because I had a comment. Again, brothers and sisters, just a side note. I had another comment from a person, and this has been an underlying theme. I keep getting responses from our Fula brothers and sisters to tell me that there's nothing about Sudan that involves the Fulani people. Here's an article here about the Falata people, who that's what they call the Fulani people in Sudan. This is an article here that they wrote talking about them and their Sudan. They consider themselves Sudanese because they were born there, but they have Hausa mixture, and the Falata people, as the names they called it, the Fulani people in Sudan. So that's another proof. I keep getting response. No, the Fula people they have never been there. That's not true. Now you get this. This is the latest article written, and they were talking about the RSF and whatnot, and who has joined in this group, and so forth and so on. See, so I wanted to bring that out to you. Now, Brothers, sisters, this here is a damning report. Okay, this is in Mali. And you know, if you look at my caption, I said the new Fula Massina Emirate. What's behind that? This is the things that's behind that. The military of the Mali military, plus it said foreign fighters killed 500 in Mali. Okay, over a year ago. This report again was generated in 2003 because they did more investigation. Foreign fighters. Now, what do you think they mean by that? In order to hide their identity, these are Tuba. Remember, I was telling you before when in Mali and in Burkina Faso, Fulani herdsmen and villagers who are being massacred. Talk about they saw Tuba in the background when they ran through the forest or the bush area and they escaped. They hid. They saw foreign fighters, Tuba, mixed in with black folk, but they were not doing the shooting and killing, but they were in the background barking out orders. This here confirms what I told you weeks back. I had somebody, again, who I believe he was a Tuba, portraying himself as a black man, tell me that I should stop talking about things like this because he said that the foreign fighters, they're not there. They're there as, diplomats, and they have their embassies. He said, I'm wrong. I'm irresponsible for talking about that they're involved in fighting. I laughed at the guy. I said, you should look at my evidence. And now I'm bringing even more evidence for this guy and others like him who claim that they're not Tuba involved in the killings in the Sahel. This is why this group, and I'll get into that, call for a new emirate because of this. They said they killed 500 Mujahideen soldiers from the Massina group. This is what they claim. But the report here gives you something, brothers and sisters, that is very, very damning. This is the UN report. And remember, I was talking to you about this Tuba involvement and how deadly it is. Here, they talk about the report, and they said it was disturbing, but you know, they didn't do anything about it. See, this is what's funny about the UN, because when there's Tuba faces, remember I told you, they look the other way, they'll talk, yeah, we condemn it, but they do nothing. But when the black folks make this type of atrocities, then they are after that, see? And here they talk about the Mali forces in this particular raid and the foreign military personnel who were there. They knew who were there, but they don't want to mention the Tuba group. Now get a load of this, brothers and sisters. Now you understand why there's a Fulani jihad. In this report, they said they went and attacked the Massina group, and Massina group has many different names that they call themselves. I'm just going to call them the Massina group because, they changed the name many times and then they had branched off. But here, I'm going to call them that. So for our edification, Massina group, and this is in Mali again, okay, in Mali. Now, here is the thing. They said they killed 500. But they say here around 20 to 20 women and 7 children were among those killed. Well, evidence suggests 58 women and girls, young girls, were victims of rape and other forms of sexual violence. So when they hit the so-called Mujahideen, they found a village of Fulani, okay, and they began to kill at will. And there were white faces there as well in this, as the report will go into talk about that. They said acts of torture were carried out on the people. These are on Fulani people. And the High Commissioner of UN, this is the same gentleman that was thrown out in Sudan. Remember, I talked about him here weeks ago, that they threw him out because they said he was a fraud, because he was making the problem worse in Sudan. Remember the RSF and the government forces, and I showed you a picture of this gentleman. And now he's writing a report about the findings, and he said it was extremely disturbing. He said in this report, he found that when he wrote this report, he found that these Tubaab and Malian forces, summary executions, rape, torture during the offensive, and war crimes and whatnot, depending on the circumstances, amount of crimes against humanity, he stated, but nothing happened. Nobody was arrested, nothing like that. He goes on to talk about the Russian involvement. He doesn't implicate them in this particular thing, but he says here the Russian question. He says Mali is ruled by the military, and he said that the country elected to roll back, quote unquote, the jihadists. And I'm going to give you what our brothers, our Fulani brothers, who are now fighting these bastards, what they have to say, because this is what the Tubaab says about our Fulani brothers. And I'm going to tell you what our brothers said about these guys. And they admitted the atrocities that are going on against the Fulani in Mali. He says here that the Russians are having they have their operatives in warplanes are using to help the Mali forces against the Mujahideen, especially the Massina group. It says Russians are providing military training, and also it denies accusation that they are mercenaries. But we already know, because the Americans exposed that the Wagner, remember Wagner group, I talked about them, the Russians, I showed you a map previously about all the places, because the Americans are mad with the Russian, now gaining foothold inside Africa. The African leaders, I remember I explained to you, when you see the African leaders, when they're face to face with the Tubaab American diplomatic corps, you see how they look. They're angry. They don't like it. They are out of fear. But when they show them with the Russians, it's different. There's smiling, there's laughing, there's joking going on. See, there's a difference. So the Americans exposed the Wagner, and they're deeply in Mali, which they finally admitted. But the UN said that they're going back with the Russians. Russia said, no, these are just military training. That's it. The UN reports does not explicitly say that they use foreign fighters. We know this is the case, that they are using that. However, it cites Mali's statements on the military, the Russian military admits that. The Russian foreign minister admitted that the Wagner presence in Mali. They admit this. The report cites local testimony. Again, remember I told you, when the Fulani people are being massacred, some of our women and our children and men escape the slaughter, the massacre, okay? They escape. And they cite about white faces, Tubaab faces they see along in the background with black soldiers, okay? Malian soldiers, Burkina Faso, Niger, and so forth. They reported this. Now the UN is admitting it. And it cites, and the report says that local testimony called, the UN investigators came to investigate, described foreigners as white men in fatigues speaking unknown languages. Remember I told you last week, I got one man was so angry with me, told me there was no Tubaab there. Tubaab don't do this. The Tubaab, they don't do this type of thing in Africa. I don't know where this brother, I don't know if he's brother or not. I mean, African brother or not, but for him to say that, this brother must be living in a vacuum, or he's living in his shoes. Because for him to say that the Tubaab's done nothing wrong inside Africa is beyond me. How my ancestors get to the United States? By airplanes? No. The Tubaab took us over there and they beat us and raped us and caused us to have different color variations and so forth and so on. They took our names, religion from us. This man said that they didn't do anything wrong in Africa. That's what he says to me when he wrote me this. And here, this report here talks about foreign fighters in particular speaking unknown language. They said it was not French, which in Mali they speak French, and it wasn't English, and it wasn't Arabic either. See, so the witness described that, and the witness described the bloodbath. What happened when they start killing at will. Now, with the UN, the Americans, British, all of them do. And this is what I don't like. And that's why I'm talking to you about this, to counter their reports. When black people get ready to fight the Tubab in particular, especially when Tubab he's either directly fighting them or indirectly. The groups that they have deemed to be terrorists, like the Al Qaeda, you know, the AQ, the ISIS, and these people like this who are declared out and out criminals, you know, out and out terrorists and whatnot. Okay, we agree to this. All, you know, there's no scholarly body who does not say, because we know that they are killing what 99% of their people who they kill are what? They don't kill the soldiers. They don't go kill the military and police. They kill civilians. Okay, we know this. It's criminal. So what they do in order to justify killing 500 women and children and raping them, they accuse us of being affiliated with ISIS, or they accuse me or other Fulani being with the AQ. This is how they justify killing us, when in fact it's not. Because in another report, not by these guys, by another think tank, it said that the Massina group and other Fulani groups are fighting the AQ and IS. So wait a minute now. Wait a minute. According to the UN, they were saying that the Massina group is linked. It says here the group is affiliated with the Al Qaeda group. See, and with the ISIS, and they call them the Al Qaeda linked support group, Islam and Muslims. This is a new group, came out of the Massina group, and there's so many. They have the liberation of the Fulani, and I mean, there's many different names they're calling them. You don't know what name it is. I just call them Massina group because it's best, because Massina is the ancient, you know, empire. The sultanates that happened, and I'm getting to that. But I want you to get this report down, brothers and sisters. The again, labor, and the report details the arrival of American soldiers and their allies supported by helicopters. And so on the morning of March 22nd, 2022, they did a number. They destroyed, killed the livestock. They destroyed, you know, and tortured civilians. It says it killed and raped women. Okay, and now the Muslims were preparing for Ramadan. They caught them sleeping, so to speak, when they hit them, and this is a very, very bad situation. They said that 30 of the Massina group members were mingling with the civilians. This is another. Let me translate that for you. We are men, aren't we? Okay, we're men. We're not from Mars or from some other galaxy. We are human beings. Men, when they get at age, they do what? They marry and have children, right? And they have to live places. What the Tubab has done is they'll say that me and others like us, we get our children and hold them up as human shields. I don't know what black man does this type of thing. I never heard of that. I never seen that. The brothers usually go down in blaze of battle, or they go down hand to hand, and they may be taken out that way. But they don't put their daughter in front of them so that they don't get shot. That is a bona fide lie. And here we go back to the same issue. They claim that the report says that the Massina members. Now they went to a village where the Massina people have. That's why their women were raped, because these are the wives and children of some of the Massina fighters. See, so they found their village, but they didn't find them. They found workers, they found herders, they found different individuals. And remember, I told you last week, what do? They'll go and they'll kill innocent and call them terrorists in order to make their report look good. Here, this report talks about this. That when they arrived there and so forth, and they said that the Massina fighters were mingled with civilians. You know, it's their family. We know now when they hit this village, we know that our brothers and their families were living there, but they weren't there at the time. Maybe a few of them here and there, but their in-laws, their grandparents and grandmothers, because this is where they were born and raised. Okay, some of them. So we know it's there, but they try to say that they were using them as a shield. It's not right. And so the Malian took control and arrested, they say, 3,000 people in this whole area. Now, you're going to try to tell me 3,000 Massina fighters just laid there and let them arrest them? How could they arrest that many, 3,000? The brothers would have went down in a blaze. We know that. they wouldn't sit there and just allow them to go to attack their women like this and their children and rape them also. They would go down fighting. And we would have dead Tubab and dead hypocrite Malian forces dead as well. So how is it that they came and raided and not one of them were killed? That goes to show you that nobody was armed. As the Massina group said, this village is where our people live. This is where our homeland is. So they raided it because they know that the people weren't there. The brothers were not there. They had easy pickings. Nobody of them were shot and killed. Only the villagers there, the Massina group fighters, their mothers, their daughters, their fathers, their grandparents, and so forth, they were killed. Now you understand, brothers and sisters, when you understand why Massina group and others through the Sahel region are fighting, because of this type of thing here. See, I want to make that point to you because it's important that we get the news and we get it right. Because me, frankly, as an old man, I've listened to this thing against black people. I'm an old man. I still hear this from the time I was 5 years old to the present. I hear the same thing over and over about black folk, black men in particular. We're always getting chided. We always have something wrong. We never do anything right. And then when they kill us outright, they still try to find a way to justify killing us. And this is what they've done here. So they said here, the men who, their fathers, their grandparents, uncles, and so forth, brothers-in-law, who are not fighters, they said the men were escorted and executed. Not the fighters, okay? Because the Malian group, the Massina group talked about this. They killed their fathers and their grandfathers and stuff like this. They were executed. They were executed, it says. And the report talks about this. The victims reportedly were buried in mass graves. Remember I was telling you for the last couple of weeks? Again, I had some of our brothers and sisters who allegedly Fulani claimed there was no such thing. Nobody was killed in Mali. Nobody's been killed in Burkina Faso. Here, they don't want to take it from me. I gave reports, again, by what black folks were saying. Here is the Tubab. So hopefully those who's looking at this, who claim that the Tubab didn't kill anybody, or the Malian forces and the Sahel forces don't kill black folk, this is from them. They told what they did to them. They said they executed people chosen on the basis of signs such as having long beards. Whoa! Whoa! Not because they were affiliated with the AQ, not because they were affiliated with what? With the ISIS, not because they were affiliated with the Massina group, but because they said here, the men executed were allegedly chosen on the basis of signs such as having long beards, like me. Interesting, isn't it? This is the UN report. This is not mine. This is the UN report that was generated last year and in 2023, I'm reading from now. Remember, I told you before that this war is based on two things in the Sahel. One is money, funds to support the hypocrite governments, okay, and their people, so that way they'll get rich. And the second is to fight Islam, because the Fulani people in particular were the first ones to get it, and they've taken it hard, and our Hausa brothers as well, and our Mandinka brothers as well, because our Mandinka brothers had sultanates as in Emirates as well, and they had great people like Samari Toure. I told you I named my youngest son by Samari Toure. I gave him his name out of respect for him because what he did against the French. So we know the Mandinka has been active in this. The West African jihad, period, has been strong, brothers and sisters. See, very strong. So I gave you this, and this report here, you can pull it up. You can pull it up yourself. So those who say the Tubab is not doing this, and our black military hypocrite forces are not doing this. The UN reported again, men were allegedly executed, chosen on the basis of signs of having long beards. And then it said they were murdered, and then they were buried into mass graves. Now, let me go further into this. The Massina group, remember, they said earlier, and many reports, CNN, MSBCs, even some of the Arab press, all of them link every group to who ISIS and the AQ. It's always like this. In this report here, they talk about how they begin to fight them because they did meet with them. And I want to get into something too. In 2019, before this massacre happened here, they went and did some more massacres. About 2015 to about 2022, they were in Mali alone. They were killing Fulani at will. And they were trying to get the creator of the Massina group by the name of Amadou Kofa. That's his name. Okay, I say his name only in jest, meaning talk about he created this. Because again, you know the story about, especially the American government and others, they'll say, I'm glorifying the people. And they'll probably say that anyway now, because I just exposed these bastards again. That's what I call them, for what they do to Black people. And so they'll say this is terrorism, because you know how everything's defined by them. It's terrorism. And so I'm exposing them, the UN and the Americans, the Russians in this particular situation, because they said it was Russians who were behind this, along with others. But in 2019, they raided another camp. This time they said they did kill Massina group people and they killed the founder. 2018. They said they found the founder, Amadou Kofa. They found him and his group, and they executed everybody. That's what they said. 2019, they showed another video of them. Because of their actions, because they killed their kinfolk, now they did meet with ISIS. And they did meet with the AQ. And they did meet with the Afro-Arabs of the Ansar Deen. And they did meet with the Afro-Tuaregs, okay, the Ansar, there's Ansar, the Azawad Mujahideen. Because they had slaughtered so many Fulani, they finally did meet. And they showed a picture of all of the leaders together. The UN reported it. Now they had eggs on their face because they said that they had executed all of these fighters plus the leader of the Massina group. It didn't happen. So again, they killed mostly civilians, didn't they? See? And they were caught in the lie. They had egg on their face. Suddenly, the press stopped. All the stuff and the Massina thing disappeared again into 2022, or roughly 2021. They still went on and massacred Fulani villagers. Okay, still did that. But they kept it quiet because now they had egg on their face. Because the Tubab said, hey, we went in there, we wiped out the Massina group. It's not true. 2019, they showed a video of all of the groups. Some we know are quote unquote criminal organizations. IS and AQ are criminal organizations. No doubt about that. All the scholars, we all agree to this. There's no ifs, ands, doubts about that because they operate outside of the Sharia. Nobody of us have the right to kill the Tubab in his land because we have no declaration of war. There's no sultan. We have no amir, a mu'minin, or anything like this who gives the order, and then we have fatwas to back up our play to go fight the Tubab. We don't have that. So when they lay bombs on an airplane, they lay bombs in a coffee. None of us support that because we know that the sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ is against this. And all the scholars are old. Now, when we have the declaration of war, when we have a sultan, we have a khalifa, we have this. And our Amir Mu'mineen gives us the order to go into the land of the Tubab, to go kill them, then we must follow that order. Now we justify because it's a strategy of war. We're trying to stop them from coming back into Africa. We're trying to stop them from coming back into Jazira Arab to kill us and our families, right? So we get an order from the Amir Mu'mineen of the Sultan of the nation, okay, of all of the Muslims who's governed all Muslims, not a faction here, not a faction there, but all of us who answer to him. That's a different situation. We don't have that right now, don't we? We don't have such a thing as that. So that way, when they go into England and do this, they go into the United States and make bombings there. There's no authorization. That's why it's criminal. But nevertheless, they met with these groups. Okay, the Massina group. because they're angry, because they're killing their kinfolk. And they made a lie and said in 2018 they killed and wiped out the Massina group. Not true, because the leader showed up with them with his fighters. See? So we know now from this report 2022, the MO has been killing civilian people and raping our women, our Fulani sisters and our young daughters. That's been their MO. See? And I'm telling you now, I got the proof here. So, you know, I have to give it to you this way to counter, because we have to talk about the issue, brothers and sisters. Why are the Fulani fighting in the Sahel? Why? We have to ask. And you see the reports. Look at Nigeria. They continuously talk about, you know, I just watched a program here a couple hours ago. Again, this famous program where this guy always gets on there, and if he could see a Fulani in front of him now, he would kill him. That's the hate that he has. And they never talk about what they have done, but they talk about what the Fulani have done in retaliation. This is what they report. And this is no different in situations like this. So this report came out and it showed, you know, and it talks about the Massina group and whatnot. But now you got the gist of what has happened here. Okay, you got the gist of that. So, brothers and sisters, as you see, I'm giving you this picture, okay? And I'm giving you a picture that is grim. And I got to show you something here. Because of the slaughter of the Fulani people from about 2015 to the present, the Massina group has called now for the new emirate of the Massina. And I'll get into the history maybe in another segment. I'll get further into this. But I want you to give a backdrop to this for your edification, to show you how the Fulani people are being killed and why they're making jihad. I'm giving you that so you can make discernment on this. Here you see, here it's in Arabic again, because I told you I live in Al-Maghrib, and this is the language that is spoken. And we have many of our Fulani brothers and sisters and other African Muslims. We do speak Arabic language. We do understand that. So, and I'm using the language that was revealed to our Prophet. This is the primary language that I have adopted. I don't adopt local corrupted Arabic languages and so forth and so on. I only learn what was handed down, which is it's a Quranic Arabic, or Fusha Arabian is what this is called. So anyway, you see here, this is the red, yellow here is that of the of basically of Mali, okay? In the green is Mauritania. Remember I talked about Mauritania, how quiet it is. But in the green there, we have ancestral Muslims there, as you heard me talk about last week. The Massina was also in control of the area in the green. I'm from the ancient empire of the sultanates of the Massina group. So this is what they're calling for now. Now you understand, brothers and sisters, okay? Now you understand why our brothers are calling for emirates all over the place. Because of reports I just showed you here, okay? Because of these kind of reports here. Killing us at will, 500 killed, and our sisters were raped. See, so now you get the picture. And you think about this, brothers and sisters. Here's a young Fulani couple. And this is one of the MOs of our groups, of our enemy. Hypocrite government forces and Tuba forces who come to assist them. Here is a wedding. This is what they like to do as well. They like to go and they have their spies, and they know it's a wedding, so that way they're caught off guard. She has no weapon, he has no weapon. This is a big thing, because marriage in Islam is very sacred. Suddenly, these people appear like this: militias, military people, police, and in the mix, Tuba. The Tuba comes like this. Our young couple who are smiling because this is ordained by Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and this is what we want. We want to see our young people marry and further on our race as Black people, and not only that, is Fulani as well. But when these people come here, aided by these people here, the Tubab as well, because they're everywhere all through the Sahel, and they murder our young brother and sister. Now you understand, brothers and sisters, why the Fulani are calling for jihad and asking for emirates all over the place, because of things like this. Weddings that end up in massacres. Sometimes they don't kill the bride, they rape her, they ravish her. They'll kill her husband, but her they'll you know, as a prize of some sort, and they go to ravish her. See, things like this. Here we have our military in the Sahel regions and whatnot talking about the herdsmen and so forth and so on. Why I have very little respect for them, because I know that in the background we have Tubab. I know that. And they go and kill our people at will. And when we see this, now we understand why we're angry, and we want jihad because of these things like this. This is why I said, brothers and sisters, it's not easy for us who are sitting in the background. I'm here in Fez, Morocco, and some of us who live in Guinea, or some of us who's living in southern part of Senegal or the Gambia or places like this. And then we try to get on our brothers in Mali or Burkina Faso and Niger. They're being wiped out. They've been exterminated. How can any of us tell them, don't join the Massina group, don't join the other Mujahideen groups, don't join the herdsmen and whatnot? Because they've been slaughtered. And I'm proving this to show you again. So how can we not ask them to do that? What would you do in situations like this? I showed you what they do in their MO. They'll go and slaughter and wipe out a village, and they know people survive. They lay in wait for 2 or 3 days. They come back and kill the rest, because they go there to see their belongings. They go there to start to try to rebuild their villages, and those come back because they have spies. They say, hey, look, they came back, and they come and raid them again and wipe out the rest of the whole seed is gone. And then throw them in a mass grave, 200, 300 in a grave, and so forth and so on. And so you see this, brothers and sisters, and why this jihad, and why it's evident why it's happening, and why they're calling for the emirate. And I'll get further into this as we, again, because I wanted you to give this backdrop on the situation, on this UN report. Why hasn't the UN done something against the perpetrators of this heinous crime? They only write reports. There's no ICC investigation, even though they said the ICC came. But why has nobody been arrested and indicted? Not even the Malian forces who've done it. But I told you in Mali in particular that the Mujahideen groups have, because they have their spies too, okay? The Fulani people are creative as well. So they got their spies who are actually policemen as well. They say, look, I know 40 of these guys, they're over here who made this heinous crime. And the Mujahideen go there and execute them. The UN turns around and says this is terrorism. Their flunkies write that this is terrorism, this is violent extremism. But the flunkies never talk about the flunkies who write and help the UN, okay, to perpetrate crimes against us. They never wrote that these 40 were involved in this heinous crime that I described to you there. They don't talk about this. They eliminate this. They get in all media. They get into Facebook. They get into Twitter, all that. Violent extremism, they call that. but yet they don't talk about here that the army and the foreign fighters just killed 500 and raped the women. See, but the spies for the brothers said, look, there's a base that's hidden. They're in this area over here. These guys were part of the group that killed and raped our brothers and sisters, our Fulani brothers and sisters. They go there and execute them. That's not violent extremism, brothers and sisters. The violent extremism is what they've done here, as that report specified. The report specified they collected people, they collected brothers and sisters, the brothers, based upon the length of their beard, remember? And they executed them. Because of their beard like mine, they executed them. They took the sisters and they said they ravished them. See? And I'm wondering why our black faces who work with the UN, why don't they ever write about things like this? Why don't they get in Facebook and other places and write about what has happened to Fulani people and make them the way they are now? Why they're killing, why they are ruthless? Because you think about this. I don't know my psyche. Yes, I'm older and wiser now, but I don't know how I would take, because I have children and I got grandchildren. I got about 12, 13 grandchildren. How would I feel? I don't know, especially if I'm around them. And the Tubab and the hypocrite forces come and take them out. And they rape my granddaughters. I don't know. I leave that up to each one of us who think about this. But I know this, when I go to engage the bastards who did this, then they say, I'm a violent extremist. It's funny, isn't it? But the people who murdered my family are not that. This is what we're talking about here. And I'm giving you this analogy so you can understand. I'm giving you the report. It's there. Okay? It's there. They went to 4 locations and did all of this stuff. And because they said the Massina group people were there. Yes, the Massina group said, yes, these are our homelands. This is where my father is. This is where my mother is. This is where my wife's family. Yes, they found them and they executed them. But they didn't execute the brothers who are involved in the Massina group. They might have got some here and there who were there with their families, but very few. Most of them they had met here were people with long beards and stuff like that, who they considered to be terrorists. They, even though they had no proof, and they were summarily executed. See, and here's the thing about it. The report also, I didn't mention this, brothers and sisters. That day they came in there, it was a 4-day killing spree. So that means they'll kill and come back. And in those 4 days, they go back and forth. They continues to kill. They go back to, they find 700 people come back, and they get them, trap them, and begin to execute them in 4 days. So it's a killing spree of 4 days that they did all this. 500 people end up dead that they killed. So it says here that they did this, executed people over a 4-day period. Anybody now write me and ask me, I don't know why the Fulani asking for an emirate in Mali. I don't understand why the Fulani are in jihad. I don't want to see reports like this. I'm going to tell you right now, you write me something like that, I'm going to throw it out. Because you better watch this tape here and you look at this evidence here. Don't write me something like that. Even if you don't agree that the brothers who lost their families should not be fighting for the Mujahideen group, I'll let each one of you decide that. But I'm giving you a picture so you can understand why your brother is doing it. Because you should not condemn him until you have all the facts. Because especially if you're a Muslim. Because you know what Subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Hujurat. What did he say about that? When an evil man comes to you to give you news about your brother, you better check it out. Remember? The evil people writing from the Tubab press, not all of them, but the CNNs, the NBC, some of the BBC, and some of the other groups who write, and a lot of times they don't get it right. They'll come and talk about, oh, Yahya is this. Ahmed is that. Muhammad is this way. Zainab is this. And our black faces, our brothers and sisters and our friends believe it based upon what the Tubab said. But Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made it clear in Surah Hujurat, I think Surah 49 or 48. I think it's 48 or 49. I can't remember which number it is, but it's there. And Subhanahu wa Ta'ala talks in that particular short surah. He said, when an evil person come to you with the news about something, you check it out first. This is what I'm doing here. They said your brothers in Mali are no damn good. They're no earthly good. They're nothing but criminals. They're violent extremists. That's what you hear them say. That's what you hear them write. This is what they put in their journals. And Americans pay millions to propagate this so they can kill Fulani outright. But then there's other two, Bob, who come behind them, and we have to give credit where credit's due, like the Guardian, especially the Guardian. They'll come back with something to show that what report was generated by CNN is not the case. It's not the case. See, so I'm giving you this lesson, brothers and sisters, to wake us up. When you read something from the Tubab, and he talks about me, he talks about you, he talks about another black man and his family, or that you joined, or I joined some group, you check it out first. Don't just condemn me. Don't condemn your brothers in the Sahel. Don't condemn them until you know the full facts. And I gave it to you. All you know what's going on in Mali is with reports being generated about their violent extremists, their terrorists, all of it connected to the AQ, and all connected to ISIS, which is not true. See? And now I gave you the report here. Why did the Massina group go rogue? Okay, why did they go rogue? I'm getting close to closing up here because I got to get ready to go make prayer here, the afternoon prayer. And brothers and sisters, you saw this, and I'll get more deeper into this, inshallah ta'ala, and I'll talk about the Massina Empire because you need to know. I gave you some tidbits last week about, you remember about the code of regulations about the farmers and the herders, right? It's them who created this code, and it's a beautiful code, and it's more codes to it. It's them who created this, brothers and sisters. Okay, and before I close here, I want to give you something. I want to show you some names of something. Remember, I talked about that. This is the Moroccan rule. Okay. Oh, where's the others here? Oh, when Moroccans. Oh, I don't see it. Where is the others? The others. I don't see it here. Okay. Anyway, you see the name at the top. You see these names, Hamadi. We as Fulani people have names that are very interesting, and I say how clever it is. The Fulani people have used names over a period of centuries, and that's how you know that the Fulani people are in these areas, because we use these names in particular. Nobody else basically uses names like this. If you look down at the bottom here, number 29 and 30, you see this name's Hamadou and so forth and so on. There's other names too that I'll probably have to get into because I don't know where the other names are at. I don't see them here. I wanted to get into to designate it, but them being black, but I don't have them here. I'm sorry about that. The Massina group became under the Moroccan rule at one time, but Moroccans used Fulani to govern their region. See, and the Fulani people had the names like this, Buba. Some had the name Baba, and so forth and so on. I won't get into these other names because I want to make a point. But this Hamidi is a word that the Fulani men use to mean our respect of our Prophet Muhammad, right? But it means a little boy wise. But we use it in respect that we don't call. It's hard to find a lot of Fulani people with Muhammad name. You'll find it with Hamidi. See, names like this, out of respect, and not naming our children after him per se, meaning out of respect. Is this an aberration? Yes, it could be. But the Fulani people have a lot of respect for the Prophet and his family, alayhi salatu wasalam. So in reference to him, because we don't feel that we are equivalent to him. So we don't want to take his name. So we use variations of it. Hamidi, okay, is that name. And this is a name also bestowed upon who? The RSF leader in Sudan. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting, isn't it? This is his by name. They call him Hamidi. This is the name that the Fulani people use all the time. In modern times, I don't think we're using it as much. But in ancient times, we used it a lot. And we bestowed it upon very wise, educated scholars and leaders. The leader of RSF, his nickname, the name that he goes by among the Fulani Afro-Arabs and the Afro-Arabs in Sudan is Hamidi. See, I wanted to give you that correlation, brothers and sisters. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. And this is how you'll start to know people have this Fulani heritage when you start hearing these names that we use. See, and I don't have the other ones. I'm sorry about that. I forgot. I don't know where these other ones, I misplaced them. But anyway, you get my gist. I'll go into the other names, inshallah, in a couple of days. I'll talk about that. So my dear brothers and sisters, I'm gonna get ready to close here because I got to make prayer, and I wanted to make my point today. And again, brothers and sisters, my program here, yes, you see, I'm fiery because I don't like, because I'm a black man and I've lived a long time. We only have negativity. Now, if we're not playing basketball, we're not playing football, we're not playing rugby or soccer or anything like this. When we outside that arena, or we're not acting or actors or in music, we're demonized all the time. Okay, if we're not an actor, we're not this and that, we're demonized. See, so and they paint pictures up so we can be killed outright. But I'm giving to you to show you again. I'm going by what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has said. He said, when this evil man come to you with this news about your brother, he said, you check it out before you go after him. We don't do that as a people. We let the Tubab talk. Oh, yeah, he's this. Oh, he's that. Like the Tubab do here. They tell people a lot of lies. They tell, oh, he goes out at night, 10 o'clock, he has a girlfriend. I've been here 2 decades. That's illegal here in Morocco. We have some Sharia here. That is illegal. For me to have a wife inside the house and I go run to play around the street, it's illegal. And you get arrested for it. You can be arrested for that. They said, I've been doing this for 20 years. Then they start to turn around and they told the people here, this is Tubab coming out of the embassy who live around here. They said that when I go to the masjid, now look at me, I'm older man. I'm not 20 years old now. It takes me time. I like to walk, but it still takes me time now to get to the masjid because I like to go to a masjid far away for exercise. They say I meet the woman and I mate with her either before I go to the masjid and after. Wait a minute, how can that be? Because I leave almost 10 minutes before I leave, I hear the adhan, I go. So it takes me time. By the time I reach the masjid, the imam is already calling for us to come to the slot line. So where did I have time to mate a woman in the street? This is the stuff that the Tubab does. The Tubab bastard, this is what they do. They tell lies like this. Others turn back around. When I moved to this area here in this plush area, they told the people here that I was selling drugs. Now, here, that's a big no-no. You'll go down for many years, like in the United States. Where did I get that? Where did I get the drug connection from? But they said I was selling drugs. See? So when you hear them tell you to see guy, the Tubab coming to you, hey, this guy, oh, we know him. Oh, he likes to play around with the woman at nighttime. You check it out first, brothers and sisters. Okay, please check it out first before you condemn your black brother. Okay, especially when you're coming from a Tubab bastard like these guys. You don't listen to them and you check it out. When you find out that I go to the masjid and I have a window of about 10 minutes between I leave my house and going to the masjid, where did I find time to mate the woman? And then on top of that, brothers and sisters, we have regulations as Muslims. If we have carnal relations with our wives or in any situation, I have to go back home to make a full wudu, ablution. So how can I go after I've done this with the girl before and walk into the prison without making ablution? You see what I mean? How silly it is? I'm giving you that point to tell you, brothers and sisters, please, before you condemn your Fulani brothers and other African brothers per the Tubab, you check out your evidence first before you condemn them, okay? So, brothers and sisters, I'll leave you with that. This is a hard-hitting, another episode. Please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate that for that. And I give you my salams for that. Jaraama, salamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.